The evening of Sarah's office party, I went purely to support her. She'd been talking about it for weeks, calling it a major networking chance with her higher-ups and colleagues at the marketing firm. For me, it was just another room full of strangers, and honestly, I preferred it that way. I put on a suit, kept my demeanor collected, and made the decision to stay in the background while Sarah shined. This was her night, not mine. The moment we stepped inside, the place buzzed with laughter, clinking glasses, and upbeat music. Sarah proudly introduced me around. Names I'd forget within minutes, faces that blurred together after a while. Most of them were polite enough, asking small-talk questions, smiling, and moving on. And then there was Daniel, tall, self-assured, with a smirk that suggested he thought he was the most important man in the room. His handshake was firm in a way that wasn't about greeting, but about establishing dominance. "So, you're Sarah's husband?" he asked, his eyes scanning me like I was a guest at a party he didn't want to invite. I nodded, answering calmly. "That's right." He looked me over, the corner of his mouth twitching with amusement. "Must be nice," he said casually. "Not having to worry about work while your wife's out here making a name for herself." It was a subtle jab, but the condescension was impossible to miss. I felt Sarah tense slightly beside me, though I only gave a small smile and let it pass. I'd met men like him before, men who thrive on pushing boundaries, waiting for you to bite back. But Daniel wasn't finished. For the next half hour, every time the conversation circled near me, he found a way to insert a barb. Jokes about me marrying up, remarks about how Sarah deserved someone with ambition, comments that I probably wouldn't understand the pressures of a competitive industry. The people around him chuckled awkwardly, their eyes flicking between us, as though they were waiting for me to react. Sarah kept trying to steer the discussion elsewhere, but Daniel always dragged it back.
Right.
Circling me like a predator, poking for weakness, and then he pushed too far. He leaned toward me, drinking hand, and with a smirk said, "You know, in a place like this, it's survival of the fittest. Some people just fade into the background." His tone wasn't casual anymore. It was a challenge. I caught the glance he threw at Sarah, like he was waiting to see whose side she'd fall on. I set my glass down, looked him directly in the eye, and said evenly, "You're right, Daniel. Not everyone can handle a competitive environment, but I spent the last decade thriving in one, a lot more ruthless than this." He raised his eyebrows, curiosity and doubt mingling in his expression. "Oh yeah, doing what?" My smile was steady measured. "Special Forces 10 years, multiple tours overseas after that private security work for high-profile clients. My job was to outthink, outmaneuver, and outperform people who were actively trying to kill me. So forgive me if your office politics don't exactly impress me." The smirk slipped right off his face. The air around us shifted. Suddenly, the group that had been laughing uncomfortably fell silent. Someone broke the tension with a nervous chuckle, but Daniel didn't recover. His face paled as he muttered something about joking, suddenly far more interested in his drink than in me. Sarah squeezed my hand under the table, relief and gratitude in the gesture. For the rest of the evening, Daniel kept his distance. Whenever we did cross paths, his tone was careful, his manner almost deferential. Meanwhile, others in the room seemed more curious about me. A few asked about my work or travels. I kept my answers vague. I wasn't there to show off, just to remind one arrogant man that not all battles are fought in boardrooms. When the night was over and Sarah and I walked out to the car, she laughed softly. "You didn't have to tell him all that," she teased. I glanced at her, grinning. I didn't tell him everything, just enough. On the drive home, I thought about how often people misjudge others based only on appearances. Daniel had looked at me and seen someone ordinary, someone harmless. What he learned that night was that the most capable people are usually the ones who never feel the need to prove it. After that party, Sarah told me Daniel was always unfailingly polite, almost overly so. Whenever I was around, I didn't dislike him or hold it against him. But I'm sure he never forgot the moment he realized he had absolutely no idea who I really was.